Hi, I'm Greg McCone. I love improving quality in IT services delivered in our organization. We have a large organization where I work. There's 28,000 employees and thousands of non-employee folks who work there on contract or in other capacities. And with our 10,000 desktops and hundreds of software titles and various other things that we support, we have a complex environment. So I wanted to just share a little bit about the difference between the service design owner and the service delivery coordinator and help illustrate that a little bit. Service design owner is a terminology we're using to distinguish from the service delivery coordinator, which is another term we use. And the idea is the service delivery coordinator is the person who's going to get you that service. Either their staff provide that or you're phoning them for that. When you don't get your service fast enough, you phone the delivery coordinator. And they're the ones who would, set up your user accounts and install your printers and things like that. The service design owner is sometimes different. For, say, our group that does all the printers, they would design the printer service and they would deliver it. For something like user access, we would have a security and architecture group that designs how users are given access. And then we'd have lots of systems subscribing to that model, and then we'd have the user access guys actually delivering that service. So the idea is the designer comes up with how the service is going to work in order to meet the business needs, whereas the delivery coordinator is simply responsible for taking those calls and getting them done to the satisfaction of the customer. Some of the activities that the service design owner would participate in would be authoring the service design documents if they don't exist. So we'd have some service knowledge that we could retain after they get promoted and we forget everything they told us. So they would be involved in the authoring of the service level agreement, where the organizations involved are identifying roles, responsibilities, and what will be supported. And they'd be authoring documentation and maintaining this documentation for the service desk. So if we needed the service desk to know something about a service to help troubleshoot it, the design owner would be in a uniquely well positioned to provide that information. So that'd be service design owner. If there was a challenge to the design of the service, that couldn't be resolved by the folks who delivered the service, the service design owner would be involved in that. So they would be involved in assessing how the business needs and requirements were recorded, how the delivery of those services deviated from what was required, and then figuring out how a change to the design of the service could improve that service delivery to meet the requirements. So the service delivery coordinator would be the one who gets all the noise about, I wasn't happy with the service today. If there's a pattern that develops, that would be something that would have to go to the service design coordinator. The service design coordinator would be involved in the annual review meetings to look at these patterns, to look at the incidents related to the service, in aggregate, to look at the patterns of service requests. Is the volume up? Is the volume down? Is the design of the service going to continue to meet those requirements? And so they would be the owner of a service improvement plan for each service. So as these things get brought to light, either requests to improve or patterns of errors and incidents, those would be integrated by the service design owner into the service improvement plan. That service improvement plan for that service or system is the repository of what's coming next. So we might know that we have a licensing capacity issue. We might know that next year we're hiring a bunch of staff, and all those staff would require software licensing for the system. So they might be planning on their roadmap to increase its licensing capacity for the next year. Other things wouldn't be planned, where there's a change in regulations or there's a change in how the business functions on a regular basis or change in expectations. Maybe the market changes and new things are possible as technology advances. Those would get captured and then included in the service improvement plan. And the nice thing about elements in the plan is the service design owner can choose to defer them until they can be implemented as a part of a project, as a part of a managed non-standard change, what some people would call a normal change. Or they can decide that the suggestion or the improvement actually doesn't reflect relevant business value, and they can say we're not going to do that. Or if it's operational improvements and suggestions, they can implement those right away at any point. So I wanted to just share a little bit about the difference between the service design owner and the service delivery coordinator and help illustrate that a little bit. Those two roles are sometimes the same person, but it's really important to think about both of those roles as you define your services and your service ownership. I hope that's helpful to you. Have a great day. Take care.